Hello, I'm Jeff Bond, and I'd like to welcome you on our second installment of Oil is Life series. If this is your first time with us, allow me to extend you a personal invitation for you to get your brushes and your paints and paint along with us each show. And if you've been with us before, please let me thank you for inviting us back for another series of paint show. We'll use about a dozen of colors and some unorthodox brushes, and in each show, I'll show you how to make some amazing masterpieces right here on canvas. So I tell you what, let's get started. Today, we'll have run all the colors across the screen in front of you that you need to paint along with this. While you are doing that, let me tell you what I've got going up here, right? Today I'm going to use a very small 10 by 12 inch double prime pre-stretch canvas, but you can use whatever size you like, doesn't matter at all. And I've just covered the entire canvas with a very thin coat of liquid white. Liquid white is designed to just make the canvas wet and make it slick. It allows us to actually blend the colors and to give it much more brighter look right here on the canvas. Makes our whole painting life a hell lot easier. So let's get started and have all the fun that I hope you're going to enjoy. So as you can see, I've already covered the canvas with the cobalt blue, and with a 1.5 inch brush I'm using because that's a very small canvas. You can use a 2-inch brush or maybe much more bigger in case of the bigger canvases. It's just the crisscross style, and after that you can see I'm just pulling it up and then just very gently I'm just giving it a much more foggy look, because those holes in the sky are actually that what we require in this paint. The skies are not only about the smooth texture, it is about the uneven texture of the bluish and the skies, the clouds whitish texture. I'm just smoothing it up again, and now when I see that it's all done, I can just have it to just make it with my 1.5 inch brush. I'm just not going to wipe off the paint or clean it up my brush, and just load it up with the a green and much more of the black in it. So it's actually just the 10% of the black. I'm sorry, just the 10% of the black and more of the green in it. And I've just loaded it up so that with just this corner, I'm going to show you how to make some trees. It's actually more about you to learn the trees that I'm going to prepare in here with that kind of large brush. The far trees is much more easier to draw with this, right? You can see that just with this corner I'm just tapping it easily, very very gently, and it's creating that texture. So I think I'm not happy with that more of the greenish color. I need a little bit of black in it, so I'm just going to take a little bit of black because that's a very very far tree, the jungle that we see from the far distance. So that's why it doesn't need to be very much more black, because then it will ruin the texture that we require in it. We just require it to be more precise in terms of the quality between the black and the green texture, because we have already that liquid white that is working for us to keep that color a little bit more less darker than what is on the paintbrush. So that is why we need to take a little bit more black, so that to make texture look more sharp. We don't need much sharper because that's a very far distant trees, but still we need a little bit of sharpness in it. Now, as you can see, that I have created it just like that, very, very easily. And just with the below, I'm going to create a little bit more nearer trees. These are the mountain hill trees, so it doesn't need to be very clear and something. So now I have took a little bit more of the green color in it. I'm just telling you, like, I'm just showing you how to create those trees. It's your idea whether you're going to show it or hide it. It's just your idea. I'm just showing it how to create that. And then maybe in the next move, I'm going to hide the most of these textures and just go on with the next move. Because most of the time, as for this painting also, I haven't used any of the reference photos. Most of them. Some of them, yeah, I have used the reference photos as well, but for these I'm not using any reference photos. It's just about the kind of creativeness and the thoughts which are here in my mind right now. So you can see those textures, those holes, right? And I'm just tapping it, and you can see it won't work if you just rub the brush from left to right or up down. No, it's not, because the trees needs to be a bit more patchy, so that's why we need to tap it. Now from the other side, there's a much more nearer tree, so I'm going to use a much more darker shades, a little bit of more green in it. You can see how easy it is just to tap it, and the area is now covered. I'm just covering it so that it won't be bothering me anymore to look for the far trees, whatever I'm going to create next on the near side. But still, I just need the far distance part to be completed so that it won't bother me to create them later on. That will be very, very difficult. You know that once you created the nearer trees, then the far trees are a little bit, because then you have to work for just the leftover parts to create those background images, which are very difficult. And why we need to do that when we are working from the scratch? Then we can actually paint that as we require, as what we have in our thoughts. So after that, we needed that water thing, the reflection. You can see how the reflection is getting just pull it down, okay. It doesn't matter like how dark or how light it is, because it's actually not going to be bothering you, because the reflection part is just that easy. And then just a little bit of, you can see, very, very gently you can create those water shades. Fine. No, that's it. So we have our far mountain trees, we have our far water shades, You can create those water lines and maybe a little bit of land thing that could be seen from far. But still, I'm not going to do that because I don't need that. I have something else in mind. I just created those things just to show you that how it's going to work at the far distance. So now I have in mind to show you that how to highlight in those background trees. Those background trees are now be like just tap it up and you can have those highlights, just the yellow ochre, nothing else. And you can see that I haven't still used any of the thinner or the mediums to thin the paint, or maybe to wipe off the brush, etc, etc. No, I do not. So I'm just using the same brush because it's better actually to wipe it off at least. Otherwise, just to clean the brush is very much good. Or if you have that those different kind of brushes with you, I have those, but still I'm not using them because with the same brush is much easier. You don't need to wash it again and again, but it depends on how deep you want to go in the painting. I'm just showing you that as a tutorial, and also in the next paintings I'm going to show you how to create it with different brushes. But now I'm using the same brushes just to avoid the time that it could kill, and to make it a little bit less enjoyable to watch this painting just on the one shot. So I have created it layered over layers, and without even giving it time to dry the first layer or the previous layer, any of the previous layers. No, I'm just creating that just like that. So I have created those reflection in the sea as well, maybe sea, or maybe the river, as whatever you would like to say. We have those reflections, and now I have loaded the brush with the black, and you can see it's a little bit of very thin brush now. Okay, and with the edgy part, I'm going to create the next tree. Okay, it depends on you, like how wide you want the tree to be. I'm just saying that I'm just taking a little bit of more black because you can see the liquid white is still working and lessening the effect of the paint with the black. So just taking a little bit of more black. It's a very, very near tree, so that's why I'm just taking that much more darker as an underpainting, and it just created those jungle kind of scene. It's actually not one tree, it's a bunch of trees. Those are there, and you'll see how it'll reflect more than one tree. It's still the ground. I have created that. Everything is done. The underpainting part. Now, just with the same brush, just use it a little bit of more of the paint. So the trees are actually going to work for like can see the branches are going upwards. It depends like what kind of jungle you're drawing in, because and where the light is actually coming. So most of the trees are actually bent towards the light. So that's what I'm creating here. And now their side, I think you have already guessed which tree that is I'm going to create. Yeah, this is a coconut tree. And just with the same 1.5 inch brush, without any cleaning of that, just with the black and a little bit of mix of green, I'm just creating just like that, just with simple strokes. You can see how easily that coconut tree is actually created without any of the harder works. I'm just creating it very gently, very gently. It's just too easy. And just the trunk, everything is just going fine. I'm going to take a little bit of more green in it. I'm just going on with the green thing. So let me just take it up and a little bit of the brown, that's burnt sienna, so that the trunk is going to look a bit more realistic, like trunk of tree of coconut. So that's what that same brush is doing. You can see that as of now I have created everything with the same 1.5 inch brush. It's very usable. I mean, any of the brushes are usable if you know how to use that well. So now the green part is coming, and just see how I'm giving that shades to the same tree. Okay, it looks like the wind is actually coming from somewhere from the right side, and it affects the leaves of that tree, coconut tree, to bend over, and maybe that's in some kind of motion that actually creates those pattern in the bigger leaves. Now with some of the blacks and the yellow ochre, I'm creating those little bit of under highlights. Okay, that's the first phase of the highlighting it with the yellow ochre. You can take some of the yellow ochre mixed with a little bit of white. Yeah, that would be a good choice to create those highlights, but just to be more of a fast kind of drawing, I'm just taking the colors as it is. So now the yellow, deep yellow, that's more deeper than the normal lemon yellow, and I'm using that as a highlighter of the tree, that'll actually creating that the highlight from the sun part. Maybe, I mean, it's actually, you can see the daytime, and those are the yellow, deep yellow highlights are for the leaves which are actually in the condition between the green leaves and the dying leaves. So those kind of leaves are actually in the middle growth, so it actually gives you the shining part. And now I would love to give some of the highlight to this tree overall, like the same black thing. I'm sorry, the burnt sienna. And here I'm going to create a little bit of coconuts. Yeah, say the coconuts are in process. So now, as you can see, there's a bunch of coconuts here with the same old brush and with the burnt sienna. I'm just creating those coconuts. Once I will go to how that will be highlighted, then you can see the clearer picture of those coconuts. But now, as of now, we are in the process of the underpainting for the same coconuts. Now with the fan brush, changing the brush after a long time in this painting. So now I'm just highlighting some of the part of those coconuts. There are some parts with just the titanium white, nothing else, just the titanium white. And I'm just, you can see I have changed the corner of the brush so that, because there's already the brown color is there, and that is actually affecting the color on the brush, the fan brush. So just changing its side so that to get the right amount of titanium white. And now just a little bit fleck on the leaves as well, at least those leaves which are in front of the light, so that those leaves are actually getting some of the whites. It's actually be very, it's not going to be dramatic if you're going to do that. It's required to place some of the white as well. It's every time, everything should have some of the white in it. If the daytime is there and if the light is there, you need to highlight something, then some of the white should be there. Whether it is water, whether it is tree, anything. Light always reflects. Now, the same 1.5 inch brush, I've taken ivory black and just simply tap. I'm just creating that inner part, inner circle, that tree, to get more blackish kind of thing, because those are the shadow part. And now again with this fan brush, highlighting some of the leaves which I had left. And again just with the same 1.5 inch brush and highlighting the left end tree with some of the green in it, and just creating those second layer of that tree. You need to keep your brush more full with paint, because that's not clean brush, and your previous layer is not dried out. So that's why we need to pull more and more color on that, because otherwise your color won't be there on the canvas. So only the brush is just going to pollute it, mix it with the previous layer, as with the black or whatever the dark color, and it is not going to give you the effect of the highlights. So as you can see, created those texture of different shades in the same tree. And And now with a different color, that is yellow ochre, I have created some of the leaves which are on the outer surface of that tree. I'm just highlighting them, and then just the same lemon yellow, the most highlighted color that we have to use now for this tree to highlight those outer, very outer leaves. Just the few leaves, not very much, because it's actually, I'm creating not too much of the daytime. It's in between the day and the afternoon and the dusk. Now some of the land is actually going somewhere in the water part, and you can see those are the very small grasses also that are already been created by just the texture of the tapping. And now those are the grasses, the longer grasses, very easy, just pull it up, those are the grasses in the water. Don't need to do much of the work, it's just that easy. It's just easy. Just do those parts and it can easily be done. What we need to do is, with this fan brush, I've taken the green mixed with the yellow to highlight those grasses as the grass kind of thing, and with the yellow creating the more highlights. It's very easy. You need not to do any further thing in it, just the normal kind of thing, and it's easily be done, easily, just like that. Yeah, just like grass textures. You can see there's a creator with this fan brush. It's very easy. Just do that thing, and you can see those little bit of spots that are coming. We need to overcome that. We need not to go for those spots which are actually a result of the very more thick color, so we need to avoid that, but at the same time we need to do the grasses on a very good end. Now with the tree trunk, see how I'm highlighting those? I'm highlighting it with the white, and later on I'm going to highlight it with some of the yellow ochre as well, so that it will have a good look. The more the whiter, the more the light, that means the more the day is on. But as I've told you, it's not very middle of the day, it's a little bit of late in the day, near to the dusk time, so that's why the lighting is more like yellow ochre and the other yellow parts. Now with the brown is the trunk of those trees, those jungle, and creating with the same fan brush. I'm just trying to create those thin little branches as well. It's actually been easy maybe with the other brushes as well. You can use it with the, and I'm going to use it some of the liner brush, or maybe in that case some of your palette knives would also be workable. I'm going to show you that as well. But the trunk below the trees are very much easy to create with those fan brushes, or any of the brush like with that kind of thing. You can just do as much thinner or thicker you want to do. Just go for it. And now I'm just highlighting it, just highlighting it with a little bit of whitening. Just see with the white on the palette knife. So that's what I'm talking about. Palette knives are very much useful for so many things. If you know how to control that, it can go for wonders for you. So just with the little bit of roll of paint on it, and I'm just creating those. It's actually not a complete titanium white. It's a mix of a little bit of brown, because already the brown is there. So yeah, I'm just taking not the pure white, it's a mix, so that it looks like more like a real reflection and not just a very harsh reflection. We don't need to put on very harsh reflection of the titanium white. So now that's what I'm talking about. Just the normal thing to create those tiny little branches. And now what I'm going to do is, you can see, just scratching that. See, just scratch that. The paint is already there, and then with just the scratching part, you're just doing what is to taking out the paint out of the canvas and just creating those very thin branches that is actually giving you an illusion of those branches which are coming very in front of the exposure of the light. So that's why they are very white, you can say clear white. And it's very easy to create those little tiny branches. You can see how easily that could be created with that palette knife. Otherwise, that is a little bit, it could be created with other brushes as well, whether it is liner brush or other brushes, but still with the palette knife it's much easier. Our life is a lot easier with that thing. So those are the branches, and now some of the inner branches as well with the same technique. You can see how those jungle thing is now come live there, just with a very little of work on it. Very little work. I'm not doing much of great work in it, or very, it's not a work of power. It's just a work of more of mind. I always used to, I always want to, and sometimes, yeah, I do. Like in this case, I just want to create something very easy that could go on, so that the painting is actually much more fun than to go on for as a work. Painting should be a fun, right? And if it's a passion, it's very much fun. Now with the crosses as well, just creating those crosses just again with the scratches, you can see how those texture are actually coming up. You're doing nothing, just creating those textures by taking out the paint from its own surface. The texture is coming. See? Wherever, whatever kind of grass you want to create, it easily can be done. Just with the underpainting, and then on it you can do the same thing. It's very, very easy. I don't know if other people have already tried this, but this thing is actually very easy, I think, in that, I never saw anyone doing that, but maybe there are people who are doing that way, but as of my knowledge, I've done this on my own, so just trying to ignore the hard works, but to work more smartly, and you can achieve the results. And if you are achieving the results, then what else does it matter? Now, for the ground, just using the burnt sienna, just the burnt sienna, and just creating the ground. See how easily just the ground. I haven't highlighted it yet, so it's just the underpainting of the ground, you can say. Okay, just want to look like more of the natural ground, and a little bit of ground over there as well. Again, lefting that is also ground, but it's very, very far away, so that's why we're very thin cut of that. And now with the same brown, I'm creating some of the nearer grasses as well, and you can see I'm just blending those grasses, just to giving it a look of the underpainting. And you'll see, because it's much near, it is very near grasses, so I'm going to create it grass by grass. Yeah, grass by grass, that's what gives it a more realistic look. Now, with the palette knife, just with a little bit of titanium white on it, and I'm just giving it a more like reflection of the ground. We can be taking like a little bit of mix of titanium and the burnt sienna to give it a more kind of sandy kind of look, but I've created like more of it's actually not totally white, it's a kind of, if you saw those white sand kind of thing, maybe it could be reflecting you that. Now, some of the inner process, it's very easy. So, I don't know if you're ever aware about those white sand beaches. I have already been read about those. I haven't been there, but I would like to go there. somewhere in the Andaman and Nicobar's here in the subcontinent of the India, and that's very, very, really, it looks like a heaven to me. Maybe someday I will go there as a tourist. Now with some of the black, I've created the holes and patches in the rocks on the ground part, and some of the underpaintings are also going to be a little bit of black in it, because those are a lot more grasses, so they will have a little bit of shadows in it as well. And then again with the same ivory black, I'm just creating the inner circle of the coconut tree as black, because that is also going to be the shadowing part. I don't want it to be left it like that, because inner part, inner circle of that tree, in any of the coconut tree, it's more dense, so that there are more of shadows in between the trees, leaves. So that's what we're trying to achieve over here. Just a little bit. So now what we need to do is we need some of the more highlight, maybe grass kind of thing, but majorly we need the tree to look more realistic. That's the most near tree, and that's actually the part of the painting where the highlight needs to be. Everyone's eyes in this painting will just go first on this tree, and then on the branches on the left side. Maybe the third one are those grasses with the land, I don't know. But just remember that in every painting there are some of the parts of the painting which are actually those parts of the painting which will catch the eyes of the viewer, and you need to work on those features, on those parts of the paintings more than any other. Like you can see the far trees which I've created in the very beginning of this painting are like they are in the painting. They are actually completing this painting. Without them, that painting is not completed. But still, the eyes won't go there that easily. The eyes will stick to those trees, left side and the right side here. Right side is more obvious. Now with the liner brush, that's what we're talking about. So just keep it with a lot of paint, because without a lot of paint it won't work. And then just with those paint, just with a circle kind of thing, you can do those magical strokes. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's very, very easy to create those grasses with that liner brush. And I've already told in my previous tutorial video that some of the brushes which can be replaced, in which list the liner brush is number one list. So that's why liner brush should be of a very, very good quality. Without that, it's very, very hard for you to create something like what you want as in the painting. Liner brushes are those brushes that can give some life to the painting, to give those kind of strokes to the grasses or maybe to the branches. I will create some of the branches as well. I'll show you how. Firstly, the grasses. Try to create the grasses in a way that it looks like more realistic. I mean, yeah, obviously it's more of, those are the wild grasses. They don't follow your thoughts, but still, just in your mind, just think about like how those grasses could be. Looks like a little bit more realistic. How those grasses could be in the realism. Just think about that. Don't go for like without any plans in your mind. Plans are a must, but it needs to be in a way that it's a very clean view that needs to be in your thoughts. Without that, it's a painting that could go somewhere else. You need to have a plan. You need to work with a plan. It's very easy. Now, some of the grasses on that island as well I'm going to create, and just to avoid those little spots that could be created, because see, those spots I'm talking about, those spots are actually creating because of the lot of paint, a little bit of, actually not the paint, it's actually a little bit of more, maybe thinner or the medium that you need to use in that. Okay, but I'm just creating that. And if you have those spots, just do that. Just try to mingle it up with the other grasses. Yeah, some of the grasses, those are much longer from the other grasses, and you can easily do that. See, those spots, I'm just trying to make those spots workable for our painting, not just looking like a spot, because that's what we don't want. Now, some of the grasses outside, those tiny little grasses, so that it looks like more of a realistic one. That's what gives the painting more of a realistic look. Just like that. It's very easy actually. Let's see some of the grasses at the, just go up and down, because all the grasses are not going to be, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, that's my parrot. It's actually, it came near to my room and it's creating some noises. Oh, hey, don't you know I'm just creating that painting? Come on. Okay, so we have created those grasses, and now I want to create some of the branches as well. That's what we're talking about with the liner brush. Now, that's what it is. Hey, go somewhere else, parrot. I'm actually creating a video for the YouTube channel. Please don't shout and go somewhere else. Okay. Yeah, so that is the kind of thin lines of the branches that we're talking about. See what a wonderful effect that we're having here. Those are the wonderful effects that we're actually talking about. Just those wonderful branches. And those white branches are actually also working for us, but now these dark branches are also just creating some of the more grasses. Those are coming a little bit longer, and now what we need here is a little bit of just forget, like you people are actually working with us, right? You're painting with us. I hope you're painting. So again, with a little bit of, that is also a liner brush, but with a shorter hair, shorter bristles, just creating those single strokes to give more of a realistic one. And then just to highlight the outer part a little bit more, very little bit more. Okay, that's it. See, as I told you, white, titanium white, that's what I'm using. And now the yellow is also coming up, just to highlight the outer sector of that tree. Yeah, now we're going to create coconuts. Hey, parrot is too much annoying, right? Just a minute. Yeah, so we are here to highlight our coconut trees. You can see, just previously I have highlighted it with the white, and now just the shadow part with the blacks. So that's what I'm going to create those coconut effects. Now we're almost done. Just now I'm going to wipe off the paint from my fan brush. You can see from the entire painting I'm now going to wipe it off, and created the whole painting just with the layer after layer without getting the layer to dry. Just highlighting the trunk with the Yellow ochre. Easy. Very easy. Very easy. With that, I bet we have finished painting. And it's a very simple and detailed painting that you can do. And if you try it, I would love to see some photographs of what you're doing. So we have time to take a photograph, send it to us, let us hear from you. Until then, from all of us there, I'd like to wish you a happy painting and God bless, my friend. Thank you.